drift back through the years to that city dreamed by magicians. Once, in Havana, I walked all night through falling architecture, down roads that had been reduced to dirt, through buildings that resemble broken skulls. In a derelict shop I found a kitten, a bony, frightened, puppet-like creature that stepped nervously into the palm of my hand. It was like a cartoon, eyes that almost seemed bigger than its head, broken-voiced, as if it had been smoking a rasp instead of a meow. I took the kitten into a bar and bought a plate of sardines, fed them to the kitten one by one as it sat on the table and I drank a beer, watching hookers dancing with gullible tourists who thought the women fancied them, fat Americans trying to salsa, ugly and damp with sweat. I knew one of the women. She was a medical student making money on the side, like a lot of the hookers in Havana, and she lived in a tenement with broken floors, where you had to step over fresh air gaps on the landings, cables and steel hawsers, holding the broken concrete together like suspension wires. In Chinatown, you'd see the women hovering near tourists who sat over their bowls of pretend chow mein, waiting for the moment when the men had finished eating, and then going with them to a bar to drink and dance. This was one of those bars. Ugly men and beautiful women with doctorates. Me and a scrawny kitten eating sardines. Havana is one of my cities. When I remember it in nighttime. When the sordid meets the beautiful, when the buildings are falling down. I gave the kitten to the woman I knew, and she promised to look after it. I walked back to my apartment along the Malecon and watched men in inflated tractor inner tubes sailing to America. I woke up in the night, and on the floor of my bedroom there was a cicada, as big as a mouse, like a metal automaton, rattling on the tiles. On the rooftop of the next tenement, there was a man making a mattress out of bed springs he had scavenged on the street. I used to watch him patiently assembling his dream bed, tying the springs into position on a metal frame, and then, eventually, stuffing the frame with old clothes. On the night he finally finished making it, a small orchestra of musicians assembled on the rooftop and performed a concert of lullabies in honor of the mattress. And when the performance was over, the musicians crept away and left the old man to his dream bed, happily sleeping beneath the stars. In Naples, round about this time, after we'd been robbed in broad daylight on the main drag, we sought refuge in a coffee shop from where we watched fat gangsters hassling a kiosk vendor and filling sports bags with packs of cigarettes they'd taken from his shelves. We finished our coffees and walked into the labyrinth of canyon streets in the Spacanopoly, where, in the middle of a row of shops selling wedding dresses, there was a toy shop, its windows full of tin cars and broken dolls and puppets. As ever, it was nighttime, or rather, it is nighttime in the memory, and in the dust and cobwebbed window display I could see a doll opening and shutting its eyes. it was looking at me, or perhaps it was looking beyond me, at mannequins wearing wedding dresses in the shops across the street. For a moment we were in the pages of Bruno Schulz's Cinnamon Shops, and the magical properties of dust were animating broken dolls and mannequins. The fear and danger we had experienced in the street robbery had been transformed into a feeling of wonder. We were children watching an opera. We had been transformed by night.